Okay, so I'm going to do some Q&A, and I've got some questions here from stream I'm going to answer before the Weldon's Weekly. Make sure you check out the Weldon's Weekly as well. But in the meanwhile, here's some Q&A. So the first question is from JJ Statman. I don't know if you do League of Legends stats, but he asks, how do you balance prepping for playoffs and having that as an end goal with not underestimating opponents and getting cocky? All right, so this is basically a question. We have 4 games left in the regular season, and we want to balance prepping for playoffs and at the same time making sure we get to playoffs. And basically, we've been doing that, I would say, the entire season because essentially 6 weeks ago, I brought up with Irene and I brought up with Trevor and Vincent that we were going to have to go into playoffs and play a best of 5. And if we do, we can't have champs that we have to ban on both sides of the draft. So that means any OP in the meta that's OP that like we can't play against, we need to be able to play it ourselves so that, we can first pick it on the blue side. And so we started getting ready. We started prepping. We started making sure that we could play all the OPs. And then, sure enough, this weekend, C9 hedged a bet and bet that we didn't play Sona, and they left it up against us. And we picked it, and we proved that you can't leave up open OPs against us. And so we're already doing that. We're already training every single day in preparation for being a robust enough team to make playoffs. And that happened because we could see early on in the split, like basically as soon as we got back to LA, that we were a pretty good team after our Korean boot camp, and we were only going to be getting better. And we projected at that time, we're probably going to make playoffs, I think, if we can keep consistent on everything. And since Irene and I are the kings of consistency, and we have really good players who really didn't want to miss playoffs for the third season in a row, third split in a row or whatever, that's what happened. So yeah, we don't really have to balance it. We just train for it the whole week, and then on the weekend, we pick the best comp to win. So if our opponent gives us 3 scaling lanes that also have lane prio, we'll just pick them for a free win. That's what happened a couple weeks ago. Was we picked 3 scaling lanes that also happened to have pressure in lane, so we had the push also, which is dumb. But anyway, that's what we were able to do. So yeah, the answer is we're always training for it, and then we pick on the weekend to win the match, not to like practice for playoffs because we practice during the week. Okay, second question. Why did CLG play Taric Sona comp for the first time and waited that long to play it while the meta shifting away from it? Okay, so this is an interesting question. I hope this ends up clipped or on YouTube or something. First of all, we didn't play Taric Sona, okay? The meta shifted completely away from Taric Sona. It went to Tom Sona. If you look at Korea, if you look at all the other major regions, if you look at EU, it went to Tom Sona and its counter. We played its counter, actually. They picked Tom. I think we picked Pyke, and we played against it. And then we also trained to play it as well. We trained to play the Tom Sona. Obviously, we can play Taric Sona too, but that's not really what's meta right now. I think the people who are picking that are just using a really OP support, but Tom is like more OP, I think. So that's why most other teams are running Tom Sona nowadays, although it's Sona that's kind of OP. But the reason is because it's always been banned against us. Everybody bans it. We didn't choose to play Tom Sona in this match against Cloud9. I want everybody to get that square in their head. Everybody's like, oh, CLG decided to play Sona Tom. CLG decided to play Sona Tom. They broke it out as a strategy against the C9 bot lane. We had no agency in that. Red side has a job. Cloud9 had a job. They could ban the 3 OP champs, or they could leave one up. Or they could leave 2 up. Or they could leave all of them up. They chose to leave up Sona and risk us taking it. So we had to take it for the free win. You know? I mean, we can't allow going to playoffs. We can't allow teams to do that, right? So, because it shows that you're it shows that you're a team that can be abused in draft. Because they're like, okay, we're gonna leave up this pick and we're gonna get a free ban, and then we're gonna bet that they can't win with this OP pick, so we don't have to ban it against them, and then everybody in playoffs doesn't have to ban it against us. Well, that's not the case anymore, right? Because they know that we'll crush them if they do. All right, so first of all, to rephrase that question, why did CLG decide to play Taric Sona? We didn't. We played Tom Sona. Why for the first time? This was the first time it was left unbanned against us. I think the last time it was in the game, it was not banned. We played the counter pick. Right? We played, didn't we? I'm trying to remember. We tried to counter it against Team Liquid, and we played Varus. No, it was TSM. We played Varus. They picked they picked Sona Taric, Leaguepedia, NALCS, Summer 2019. It's not the NALCS anymore, I know, but I just typed that to make sure that I get the right one. Picks bands, show, CLG. Oh, wait, let me show entire page. Okay, so TSM played Taric, first pick Taric. We played our counter that we practiced in Korea. And we basically just should have banned Zilean and it would have been fine. Or if they didn't have Zilean, I think we would have been fine because we would have gotten our initiation off in the mid game and actually killed them. So that was the counter we'd worked up playing against the Korean version of Sona Taric. Worked out great and still works out. I think it's just the Zilean that we didn't predict. Okay, then this game is banned. Yep. So versus Optic, they banned it first, then we banned it, then we banned it week 3, and then we banned it on red side because it turned out to be a blue side pick that week. Okay. Then okay, then we banned it versus FlyQuest, and then we banned it versus C9, and then Clutch Gaming picked it, and we played our counter that we'd been working up to it, and they lost. So that was us practicing it and practicing the counter. And then we banned it against TSM because we just didn't feel like we just wanted to beat them. We're just like, let's just have a normal game, please. And then this week was week 6, right? No, week 5. We banned it on red side, and then they left it up, and we left it up, and they banned the Tahm Kench, right? GGS banned Tahm Kench, which is like, I guess, the best. Like, Taric Sona is an acquired taste, I would say. Although it's fun. I think Tahm Kench is a very OP support. If you look at Korea, it's like 87% pick banned or something insane. And in NA, it's nuts, and in EU, it's a little bit less nuts. But I think Tahm Kench is like, I think it was like Sona plus whatever is the most OP support with Sona. Happened to be Taric. Now it's Tom. Could be Taric again. You could also play it with other champs. It just scales really well. But anyway, they banned Tom. So we didn't really feel like picking it because we thought that we could beat GGS pretty normally, which we did until we threw. Okay, so then we go to week 7, and then it was left open against us. They left open Tom, and they left open Sona. So what are we supposed to do? Just let people leave up power picks against us and then not take them? Have to punish. Okay, so that's why. And that's why I was really pissed with the analysts that they don't review the comps. Like, I think Mark and Crumbs, and to an extent, I guess it's Dash's job to lead this, but they don't talk about comps in the development of the comp, right? So we picked Tom. They picked Lee Sin and Braum. Okay. Then we picked Sona Jace. So until after the Lee Sin and Braum pick, C9 didn't know we were going to go Sona Jace. In fact, you would probably bet they were betting against the Sona because they left it unbanned. So they were probably like, we're going to bet they don't play Sona and we're going to get a free Jarvan ban. Okay, cool. Because they didn't want us to, like, you know, have Jarvan, or they didn't want to trade Jarvan, or whatever. They didn't want to play against Jarvan, or they wanted to play Jarvan, but they didn't want to risk us getting it. I don't know why. Anyway, so all the discussion around the draft has to be the pivot. Has to be like, okay, but they talked about like, oh, Lee is so bad into Sona Tom. Well, yeah, but they didn't pick Lee into Sona Tom. Okay? Braum is so bad into Sona Tom, or doesn't fit with this comp. Yeah, but they were playing against one comp in their minds, and then all of a sudden, on the third pick, they had to change. So, I'm pretty sure they had Sivir in their mind already, or at least they thought that was probably the thing they should take at that point to abuse the lane, get the push. And then for the solo lanes, like, I don't know, right? So I think that conversation around the comps in the analyst desk phase should make it so that viewers don't come asking questions like the one I just got, because it's pretty obvious. Like, if you just look at the stats on pick ban, like everybody's banning Sona. Okay, so GGS versus Team Liquid, Sona banned by GGS on blue side. So I guess Optic versus Fox, Sona banned. Team Liquid versus Clutch Gaming, they leave up Sona and Karma and Yuumi. They leave up and Sona. They leave up all the OPs. That's Clutch Gaming's thing. They wanted to leave up all the OPs. Okay, that's like out of the blue, right? So the Team Liquid decided to play Yuumi Karma. And they're like, we don't need 3 OPs. We already have Yuumi. We already have Karma. Like, we don't also need Sona because it doesn't really fit. Like, the support synergy with Sona is really important, I think. Okay, so CLG, we banned Sona. GGS, they banned versus TSM, they banned Sona. 100 Thieves versus Cloud9, they banned Sona. Cloud9 versus CLG, they left up Sona. We picked it. Optic versus TSM, they banned Sona. Clutch Gaming versus Fox. Okay, again, Clutch Gaming. Sona's up through the first phase. Fox doesn't pick it. Clutch Gaming doesn't pick it. Then they ban it second phase. Okay. 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. Sona's banned. Okay, so do you see that, like, we didn't choose to play Sona. Sona was unbanned against us. That's what is the narrative that needs to change around picks and bans, is like, I think that the analyst desk should recognize what really OP bans are and what teams are banning away, and then they should criticize teams that get left OPs open against them, can't play them, don't pick them, and then their opponent can pick them. And then also, if a team leaves an OP up against it, another team, and then they have to pick it, how well do they play it? Like, did they practice it? Are they prepared for that? Because that's really the balance. Like, you'll see this happen in playoffs, right? This is really funny. This is what happens in a best of 5. Gets in the main split, everybody bans the OPs. They're like, oh, we don't want to play against it. It's a best of 1. Then we get to the best of 5s. First game, teams are like, okay, we'll leave open some OPs. We'll see if they pick it. Enemy team picks it and loses. Or they don't pick it. They're like, yeah, we haven't really prepped that. We haven't played Karma in like 5 weeks because it's banned in every single game. Okay, so nobody picks it. That's a hypothetical situation. Obviously, Karma's still being played. But then, then the second, you get deeper into the best of 5, and by the end of the best of 5, the bans are just team specific, and all of the OPs are like not being banned and not being picked anymore. This is why best of 5 tournaments are so great, because the bans go from the public realm, which is like everybody's banning for best of 1, down to the I'm banning for this team for this best of series exclusively, which is really funny. And then OPs evolve throughout the tournament as you get deeper and deeper into it, and people realize, oh, nobody's playing these OPs anymore, and now nobody can play them anymore because nobody's practiced them because everybody thinks they're going to be banned against them, which they are, and then it's useless to practice them, so they don't. So they're not OP anymore. So that's probably what we're going to see happen kind of in the offseason, but for now, you have to go into that offseason being able to prove that you can't give a free ban to your opponents. Or free open ban to your opponents. So that is an important facet of the analyst desk that needs to be discussed in the appropriate way. Diego Galindo asks, how involved are you and Irene on the academy team? Last split, a lot. This split, not at all, unfortunately. Last split, we were involved a lot. We would scrim them once a week. We would take turns training them, taking time in the academy room, and we would have a lot of collaborative meetings with Matt since we had such a crappy team, and we were constantly trying to find better players and to motivate our players to do well. So we were like always working with the rosters, swapping players around. And this season we've been focused on, since we were in Korea, we were able to identify that we'd solved a lot of the issues. We were able to essentially like focus on our roster, and it just got summer split midseason crazy, right? And so unfortunately, yeah, the academy team has not been doing well, and Irene and I have not been able to help it very much. But Matt has been doing his best, and the players have been doing their best as well. I heard you're from Minnesota, asks Nofengolfin. Yes, I'm from Shakopee. When CLG is locked in playoffs and in a position, will we see any random picks like when TSM played Teemo? No. After the throw versus GGS, how was the atmosphere? Pissed. Defiant Ketchup. Will CLG partner with Sesame Street Children's Workshop next? In the works. Is it better, in your opinion, to shoot for the bye or use the quarterfinals as best of 5 practice? It's been so long since the team has been in playoffs. Shoot for the bye, always. I've noticed in the few recent games, CLG is methodical and has great macro, except for one play in each game that is a coin flip. The Baron, for example, the Baron versus C9. Is this a strategy? Is this an exploitable flaw? I think it's you not seeing the other flaws in our macro, which exist, and not being able to play perfectly. And a little bit the casters really hyping up the coin flippiness of a specific moment, as compared to a coin flipping of another moment. And a little bit League of Legends, where like there exist such moments at the end game that are so dynamic, where the game builds up to this big crescendo and then poof. It's not like Overwatch, right? Where it's like a basketball game where it's kind of like 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, no points, 2 points, 2 points, right? So Defiant Ketchup says, how do you make it so the boys don't disrespect the last opponent like the GS game? We just said, don't do that. Who do you think is the most underrated non-CLG player in NA? The most underrated non-CLG player in NA? This is a great question. Let me turn to the team rosters here. All right. So we have Someday, Fake God, Amazing, Soligo, Ryu, Bang, Afro, Mu. We have Kumos, Finscarum, Blabber, Niski, Sneaky, Zazel. They're all appropriately hyped up. Zazel, maybe? Zazel's probably the most underappreciated member of the Cloud9 roster at this particular moment. He's a genius at League of Legends. Huni, Lyra, Demonte, Cody, Sun, Vulcan. Ruin, Wiggly, Power, View, Stixay, Biofrost. Solo, Lorlo, Rush, Panda, Mike Young, Yusui, Phoenix, Lost, Apollo, Hakuho. Solo could be up there. I think he's quietly had a better split than Hanser when Hanser was almost at his peak, and yet has gotten no kudos for being like the second best performing NA-based top laner. Not NA-based, NA native top laner after Licorice. And Licorice is on a winning team, so that's easier. Viper, Santorin, Pobelter, Wild Turtle, JJ Wadid. Hanser, Contracts, Froggen, Deathly, FBI, Ole, Huhi. Dokla, Meteos, Crown, Scarlet, Arrow, Big. Impacting Smithy, Jensen, Doublet, Corja, J. Broken Blade, Katie, Grig, Bjergsen, Sven Smithy. I think it's going to have to be, for me, Crown or Power of Evil. Like, for me, it's Power of Evil, for sure. And after him, Crown. So, mid lane is literally the most important lane in the map because it's the middle of the map. And it can be ganked on both sides. And generally speaking, you're playing more fragile champions, not like tanks that can kind of walk out of fights. And it's very reliant on you having pressure, meaning that if you give pressure to your opponent, they're allowed to do whatever they want on first move on both sides of the map, which is really bad. You give like 1 or 2 roam timers to your enemy mid laner, even if you're ahead, and it can like destroy the map. And so dying is incredibly bad. Losing pressure is incredibly bad. Giving pressure in a lane where you're supposed to have prio that was drafted that way is incredibly bad. Losing the 2v2 is incredibly bad. All of these things like lose you the game. That's why it was so hard for years for CLG to play a standard style, because while Huhi was an excellent duelist and an excellent roamer, he had to pick very extremely to get pressure. He had to pick out of the matchups. You know, he had to pick like Talia and Aurelion Sol, champions that 100% got prio. Whereas Power Evil and Crown can nullify prio and gain prio in matchups where they shouldn't. And they will not die to an excessive amount of jungle pressure because they know their line so well on some of these mages. And so when I see how easy it is for us, like when I watch scrimmages and I see, okay, we win game after game after game because their mid laner dies once. And then I watch a full week of scrims and I see them camping our mid nonstop, and I see Power of Evil die like 2 times when he doesn't intend to, right? When he's not pushing his limits. Through some surprise visit from the jungler that he somehow didn't predict. And then I watch Crown, and he does the same thing as Power of Evil and Bjergsen and Jensen, where they like play the mid lane perfectly. But then he also dodges all of Power of Evil's skill shots too. So you're just like, this guy's really good, like really good. Like carrying his team in this silently subtle way where he's just like outclassing his opponent in ways that you can't see, so he can pick worse matchups and do fine. And I think it's the same for Power of Evil, and I think it's the same for Bjergsen, and I think it's the same for Jensen. Yeah, you see them play the lane in ways where it's like, yeah, that is just so consistent. And that's really important for this lane. So I would say, for me, Crown. Regarding the Dylan Falco video, Reddit claimed it's because NA players are scared to look bad in their reality TV show. Yeah, that's BS, and I'll go over it in a vlog. What is your TFT ranking? I'm Silver 2 right now. Does your Minnesota Nice allow you to deal with others' emotions, mentalities in a positive way? Not really. Why is Wiggly not being considered as an MVP candidate? I don't know. He should be. Okay. That's it for the Q&A. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check out my website, mental training program video course, mindgames.gg/MAC. It's online right now as a video series. Since I'm still working on the app, you should use the code. What's the best code? Probably Ask Weldon. This is the Ask Weldon show. So you should use the code Ask Weldon to get the $5 discount. And make sure to check out Weldon's Weekly coming up next.